No. If I can order toothpaste at 9:12 p.m. and have a drone drop it off on my front porch before I finish brushing my teeth, I am not going to accept that the Valentine's Day watch that I purchased is okay getting here on the 23rd. No. We live in a world where I can see the Uber driver's face, his tire pressure, blood type. I can also figure out his childhood traumas because it's on the website. All of that before this man pulls into the trailer park where I live. But a luxury watch has to process. Process? Process what, Tom? It's a watch. It don't make sense. I cannot accept that. Now, let me tell you, this started as a very nice Valentine's Day gift that I ordered. Because my girl, I wasn't sure we were doing Valentine's Day. To be fair, I'm not trying to scream, we were on a break. I'm not doing any of that. Just saying, we weren't necessarily talking about doing Valentine's Day stuff. I was going to make us food like always. That was going to be fine. But no, she had to come over here with a little goody two-shoes and start dropping off Valentine's Day gifts. So, next thing I know, I got me some chocolates. Hashtag not an ad. Do like some Russell Stovers. Can't hate on that. Don't blame on me for having a sweet tooth. Here we are some 10 days later. There's still 3 of a 10-pack left, so I guess it ain't so bad. I eat one a day, you know, from my heart. So she brings it over. Now what am I going to do? Well, I can't get it by with making a steak. And now what time is it? Well, it's way late. So I looked online. I knew what I wanted to get her anyway. I just hadn't planned on ordering it this specific moment. So I went, okay, all right. I ordered it up. Said it could get it here by the 14th. Okay, I'm going to take a shot. I got it the 23rd. The 23rd. Now, I ordered a real watch. And I'm not talking about the kind you pay $9.99 for, the fashion one that, you know, when you go on the cruise, it breaks, the clasp breaks in the bathroom and you just leave it in the trash. This ain't one of those kind of watches. This is not a Rolex either. But we're in the process of her working through different kinds of watches so she can figure out what she wants. The kind of gift that says, I tried. It shows up on the 23rd. Here's the part that gets me. We live in a world where Amazon can get you things you don't even know you need before you finish needing them. That's how good Amazon is. I've ordered batteries while standing in my kitchen and felt judged as they were being dropped in my front porch. It's quick around here. You live in Phoenix? I swear to you, you can say the word Amazon and it ain't 10 seconds later before somebody's in a prime truck standing outside one of them battery-operated jobs that sort of looks mopey. They went for Smiley with the 2 big front wind. Woo! They didn't get it. They got a little mopey on that. Won't gonna say nothing. Maybe they need to cheer those things up a little bit. They'll stand outside your house, basically. You say Amazon, they'll show up. By the 3rd time, I'll Beetlejuice them. They'll be outside, standing. What you need, bruh? Got plenty of stuff right here in this truck. What you need, bruh? I mean, they're outside. That's how it goes in the big city. Now, where my mom lives, I can order her stuff on Amazon. Estimated delivery range. Where I live, what time do you want it? That's the difference when you live in a big city. Now, if you order something meaningful, something expensive, something romantic, it takes the scenic route. Why? I can get broccoli dropped in here in an hour. But if I want something nice, I get estimated delivery vague. What? Wouldn't you think that companies selling high-ticket items would be the fastest ones to get me something? Right? Wouldn't you think that? Wouldn't you think that somebody would be sitting in a warehouse right this minute going, sir, if you'll just hit buy, you just launch it. We'll have somebody on the way. No. Instead, they put them on a horse, ride them over here in a cart and a buggy. It's a mess. It takes forever. Doesn't seem to make sense. They got the money immediately, but they want me to wait. And if you sell watches, cameras, stuff that used to matter, before the iPhone did all that stuff. Yet you still are managing to be in that business and make a lot of money. You're not in the slow delivery market. You're in the disappearing market. I don't know that they teach that in marketing. I'm in classes. I haven't learned that yet. But that's what you're in, the disappearing marketing market. No one needs a watch anymore. My oven tells time. In fact, I had to struggle with that very thing before getting my girl a watch. There's no question that I'm going to edit that, because if she hears it, I'll pay for it dearly. You know what I mean. Now, think about that though. Does anyone need a watch? No one needs a watch. You're carrying a phone with you. It has the time. In fact, my guess you could holler right this minute, "Hey Google," probably find out the time. It would just tell you, or whatever the other one is, because if I yell the other one right now, there'll be about 74 devices in my house that'll jump up and be like, "How can we help?" That's not a good look at this moment in time. I'm recording stuff, you see. So the fact that I have ordered a watch in 2026, it's not a functional purchase. Rolexes don't excel in telling time. I know. I've had a collection of them. They're pretty. They go up in value. But don't count on them to tell you the exact time. That's not what they do. And also, I want you to know, if you're selling watches and things like that look pretty and they go up in value, they're moment purchases. Moments have expiration dates. For instance, Valentine's Day's not like Christmas. You don't get a grace week period. That's not how it works. There's no extended romance window. It's either here by the 14th or it's just late jewelry. And late jewelry feels suspicious now, doesn't it? Why, yes, it does. I appreciate the urgency with which some products can be delivered to my house. Tell you, I got this thing. I'll show it to you too. Came in this box right here. So it's a Citizen. The last watch that she had, because I'm trying to figure out what kind of watch feels best for her in her job. The last watch that she had, it came on a cute little pillow too. It's always good. That Rolex has always come on a green pillow, but it's kind of sick. Anyway, the last watch she had a metal bracelet. So with that metal bracelet, it presents its own types of challenges, correct? So I wanted her to be able to feel the differences if she had a different type watch. There, as a guy who's been around watches my whole life, there is a difference. There is a weight difference. There's how that makeup of the band, whether it's rubber, leather, alligator, what is it? How it feels on the wrist. So what I got her this time was a Pro Master dive watch, because I thought with her being in the nursing that this would be any fluids, whatever, any water, anything if she had to wash up, you don't have to worry about taking it off. Those are good around water. It'll go as deep, whatever. And it should be a pretty rugged and durable watch. I also want her to get used to the sizing. It's an eco-drive deal, so light fuels it. But what I got it for, it's 37 millimeters. So that's that's considered their ladies' dive watch. And the reason I wanted to get her that is because when I started collecting Rolexes, 36 millimeter was the man's size watch. That was the norm of the era. Now we have them all the way up to 49s. In fact, these new Apple Watch, they're not iPhones. The new Apple Watch, the big ones, the Ultras, they're 49 millimeter, which for me is way too big. I'm not big enough to pull that off. I'll admit it, I'm not man enough to pull that off, because you really need a much bigger wrist. But Apple's made it sort of work till you can get by with it. You don't want to try that with a watch that's too big if it's made by Breitling or one of them. It gets real heavy. So that's what I wanted to do, is feel this out. But at 37 millimeters, that's bigger than man's Rolexes were in the 90s, which was 36 millimeter, even up to the early 2000s before they moved into the 40 millimeter and the 42s. They had a few models that were, I'm not saying exclusively, but the subs are the Datejust, the Thunderbird like I had, the I think they were 40 millimeter on my first GMT2. So 36 millimeter was a normal size though. And it's interesting to me now that a lady's watch is a 37 millimeter and it fits her beautifully. She really likes the watch. So it worked out real well. So I'm excited about that for her. She is digging the watch and that's kind of neat. The one thing about Amazon that I think we forget is that they're really good in the urgency business. That's what they do. Like, that's their jelly roll. They live in that world and they get it. They understand that as modern consumers, we don't separate wants and needs anymore. We used to, right? If we had to drive into town, well, we didn't really need that. But if we wanted it, we might do some different stuff. Well, in this age, we don't separate those things anymore. Everything's right now, and it's immediate. If I decide at 8:42 p.m. that I need a tripod, I don't need it next Thursday. I need it before my brain changes its mind. And it does that fast. That's the market now. It's the attention span market, right? If you're selling watches in a world where the phone replaced watches, you don't get to do slow. You don't get processing. You get drones, and you get them quickly. Because fact is, if Amazon figures out how to deliver romance faster than the jewelry companies, they're not going to just be selling paper towels, batteries, Dawn, and weird couches that just blow up in your living room. Nope. They're going to be selling the moment. And the companies still processing are going to wake up and realize that the drones already left them behind. Come on, guys. You got to step this up. When you tell me something's going to be here on the 14th and it gets here on the 23rd, that's not great. Now, I really wasn't complaining about that. I was more or less just kind of pointing out in my mind, that's the world that I live in. I look at those things and I go, can't we do better? And if we can do better, what are we missing here? That thing was shipped from a warehouse. Amazon figured that out a long time ago. Seems like a long time. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you waited that many days for something to get here in the mail? Now, it was anticipation and it was great, but I was the only one sharing in on it. It's not like she knew it. So I'm glad I got it, though. She likes it. That's the main thing. And it works at her job so far. She hadn't had any problems with it, so that's good. And we live where you don't wear a lot of jackets, so a lot of times jackets want to pull on watches if they're a little bigger than they need to be, or if the jacket's, smaller made. So we won't have a lot of that. I voted no on taking too long for deliveries, but I'm voting yes on this. When you tell me that Sweden is giving away a private island for a year, I'm not even checking the fine print. Like, I'm already emotionally there. Own island for free. What do we say where I work? If it's free, I'll take 3. Yes, indeed. Now imagine this, ma'am. Think about this. It's for my ladies, because I know this is what my girl will be thinking. Paint this properly for you. You wake up in the morning, there's no traffic. You could forget about traffic. No notifications, no neighbor who's got one of those leaf blowers, woo, blowing like he's trying to go to the Olympics. No, none of that. Just wind moving through the pine trees. Kind of quiet, where you could actually hear the water touching the rocks. That kind. You can hear that. Follow me along here. It's feeling good. You open the door, cold Scandinavian wind coming. Feels so good. It's clean air, not drive-through air, not that kind of air. Actual, clean, breathable, unfiltered, no marijuana in it, just straight air. And I say that because if you live in a city where they've legalized marijuana, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Nowhere you can go without that smell. Coffee, imagine how good coffee's gonna taste. Think about this. When you have coffee and a horizon, the coffee's 17.6 times better. That's science. Now there's a mist lifting over that water. A dock, listen to a creek. Wind's blowing. You got maybe a knit sweater situation on, maybe just a blanket. Maybe you're reading a book not because you need the productivity or you got to do it for school. You're reading it because you want to, for the pure joy of it. Makeup, forget about it. Heels, no pressure, just space. Space. That's the new luxury, right? And dudes, let me tell you something. For you, oh, it gets cinematic. This is legit. You're chopping wood, not because you have to, because you can. You've got boots on, you're dressed in layers, and I'm gonna tell you something. You look like you know how to tie knots. And that's important in Scandinavian countries. There's a rowboat out there. Well, sure, you ain't in no hurry. Where you gonna go? You got nowhere to be. You're not in a rush. You're not late for anything. The only calendar event for you today, sunset. Yeah. You're grilling fresh fish. You're saying things to your wife like, hey, love, tides are turning. I don't know where the accent comes from, but you just pick it up. You're mysterious now without even trying. You're not checking email. You're not doing anything other than staring at a northern sky like you're in a cologne commercial. It's so quiet, you can hear your own thoughts. And for most of us, it's terrifying, and it should be. But it's also incredible. It's amazing. That's the pitch. That's what they're selling. Come live in your own Swedish island. Population you, peace, tranquility, nature. Right now, we're at almost 50% of the population that says, hey, that's all I want. Of course they do. We're all tired, right? We're tired of noise, chaos, everyone's opinion, blah, 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 blah. An island sounds like a therapeutic dream. But then, I kept on reading. Now, you're not just living on the island. That's what I had in my mind. You were in the same picture I was. You saw it. You were there. No. They used the word custodian. You're a custodian. Now, they did use a capital C. But that's not mysterious Nordic island owner cool. That's maintenance team. That's sweeping. That's checking structural integrity when the winds blow too much. Hey, Lars, the dock house is broke again there. I don't know where that accent came from either, but I feel like it was part of it. You didn't win a dream. You applied for a job. Wait a minute. Did they just have a job that nobody else was willing to do for the trinkets they were going to pay for, which is probably zero? Or if I remember correctly, I want to say I saw an article pop up probably a year ago that talked about you could come live on your own Swedish island as this same type deal and make 40 grand a year. Now they're giving it away like it's some kind of contest. In other words, nobody was willing to do it for 40 grand a year is what it sounds like to me. It's the oldest trick in the book. They didn't give you an island. They gave you a responsibility. You're not escaping chaos. You're managing it. It's awful pretty, though. It sure is. But let's be honest. How's this going to go? First week, it's going to be magical. Things going to be perfect. Now, on week 2, when you're Googling, how do I fix a Scandinavian toilet? With the Scandinavian, no, it goes the other way. Yeah, I don't know. See? That's trouble. That's different. Now you're also handling stuff that smells like regret, and you're having to deal with it on a gravel path. Also not as fun. You can't just put it in your back of your RAV4 like you got here. Manic Island life is very different when you're the facilities department. They say basic stewardship responsibilities. That's corporate speak for if it breaks, it's you. because nobody's rowing their boat over to fix your mess. That's not right. But here's what I think is very interesting. We are so exhausted as a people that we're willing to call unpaid labor luxury if you put pine trees around it. That's not a retreat, it's remote property management. And the fact that we're willing to compete on TikTok for the chance to rake and mow Sweden for free is a little bit stupid. I ain't gonna say I didn't sign up, because of course I did. I want you to get me wrong, the island sounds incredible. It's amazing. Kidding me? I'd move there tomorrow. But, be honest, if I'm chopping wood in silence for a year, I kind of feel like I need some type of ownership, a deed, a piece of it. Other than that, it's just a scenic job. And I don't know if I'm down for that. I just don't know. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a huge car person. Like, that's kind of my thing. But I have never, ever been a Corvette dude. When I look at Corvettes, I think, that dude's probably got at least 8 pair of white New Balances in his closet. It's my guess. At least. It's just not for me. It's what I thought. And then something happened. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I started liking them. And it's a little bit scary. My neighbor over here, Rick's got himself one. And he likes it right good. It's a nice machine. It's real pretty. I love the sound of it cranking up. So on TikTok, you may have seen this. The question was posed at the car dealership on the website and to the sales team, what car screams midlife crisis? They didn't hesitate. The answer was Corvette. Took no time at all. One guy even said, man, you can't even bend down to get in one. It's not wrong. You don't just enter a Corvette, you descend into it. You just kind of fall till it stops you. It's not really transportation, it's more like a yoga pose. It's a little different than most cars. The most fascinating thing about Corvettes, though, that I found in this article was that 65 is the average age of a Corvette buyer in America. 65. Over 65 is what they said. I just baselined at 65. Now, the mid-engine C8 is a little different. That's drawing a younger buyer. Those things are very interesting because they came out new at 55. From the factory, I realized you couldn't get them for that, but they came out new at 55. And now here we are a few years beyond that. They're still getting the same price, 55. And most of the time, Chevrolets don't hold value like that. Corvettes, unless they're one-offs, a specific rare breed, don't hold value like that either. So it's very interesting. It's drawing a younger crowd. But here's what I picked up from all that. We don't want Corvettes typically, especially the older ones, when we're young. We want to be the guy who could buy a Corvette. When you're 25, you don't want the Corvette, you want the story. You want the grind, the climb, the one day. When you're 45 or 55, something shifts. You start looking at your knees a little different. You're all like, bro, I can't do this forever. And then you hear the rumble. Not the rumble of an engine, it's the shoulder rumble when it pops. And you're like, oh, that's new. I didn't used to do that. And then all of a sudden, your buddy Rick, right next door, cranks up a big V8 and it rumbles and it shakes your trailer. And you're like, it's really not a midlife crisis. Feels more like a receipt. Feels more like proof now, right? I worked hard my whole life. I mean, I'm kind of owed this now. I stayed in the game long enough. The world pretty much is where I am, finally. I was looking at some of the comments. One dude said, it's not really a midlife crisis, it's more about when you can afford one. Okay, it's not false. Pretty honest. Most of us didn't stop wanting shiny things if you think about it. I never have. I love shiny cars. I love motorcycles. Most of our life, though, we just can't justify, right? Kids, mortgage, tuition, life. One day you wake up and you realize, if not now, when? That's where I'm at. Middle age is not really about panic, it's about awareness. You're suddenly beginning to grasp what time means. Not like when you're 22, you got an unlimited runway. You're a little older, you're like, I might not have that many more of these left. So now when I looked like I decided I wanted to get rid of my truck, and I got myself a 4Runner, a little lower, lower to the ground because I had big tires on my other one. And what I determined in the process was I love driving my big truck on the big tires, but the 4Runner sure feels better. And then I was like, I really want to keep this because it's the last group of the V6s. I think they had a 2024 V6, but mine's a 2023. It's that 4.0 liter V6, which is much more fun to drive than the one they have in the truck. So it's just a better all the way around setup. But it's the last of an era because we're going to the turbo 4 cylinders, and eventually we'll continue to stack full of electrics, until however that progresses. But this is the last of a generation of vehicles. I don't want to get rid of it. Problem is, if I hold it, and I'm a guy who loves new cars, I've bought probably 28, 26, something like that. I've owned 5 in the last couple of years. So I go through cars because it's fun for me. That's what I like doing. But now I'm at the point where I'm thinking, well, how many more of these do I have? And if I hold this car for too long, then I have fewer. Sort of a weird time. But I have started noticing the horsepower becomes spiritual. When they crank up, clarity starts showing up. You call it midlife crisis. I call it makes me feel better. But whatever it is, all the dreams that I postponed start tapping me on my shoulder and like, hey, remember me? For me, it was flying. I wanted to learn to fly, so I did it. And a Corvette, just a physical version of that same conversation. And of flying, they're all the same. Same with motorcycles. Now I've decided I want a trike. I don't know why. I just do.